Here we go. Hi, everyone, and welcome to episode 61 of Midnight Poppyland. Back to season 2. Super exciting. And today we have Teri and Sakura, who have been on before, and we have someone new, Tori. So y'all are yourselves.
My name is Tori. I didn't start reading, like, I know there are some people who are reading back in the Discover days, but I didn't catch it then. But I've been reading since I think around episode 25-ish or so. And it's changed a lot in my life personally. Like, it has helped my mental health. And I've actually gone back to the gym because I was like, honestly, I relate more to Tora than I do Poppy. A lot of his reactions and a lot of his issues, I'm more on his side. And so I was like, oh my gosh, I need to go to the gym so bad. So I'm actually a librarian by day, but that is what
Hi, I'm also a librarian. Hi. So I'm Teri. I actually started reading it during the pandemic. So like a year ago, I think I kind of was one of those that was reading Lore Olympus and then kind of saw the ads for MPL and I was like, what's this? And then started reading it. So yeah, I'm also a librarian. I write under an AO3 and comment and Patreon under Lady Libris. So yeah, yay, fellow librarian, I'm so excited.
I love your work. I've read it.
Oh, thank you.
That's awesome.
Hi, my name is Sakura, and I am actually from the city, New York City. And I'm actually into MPL, but at first it was MPL, but it was True Beauty. So that was part of Webtoon because in my country, which is Korea, and it's really popular there, but now they made a drama out of it too.
It was so good.
Oh, right. So good. But there's some little changes, but then like I got to MPL because the advertisement, because Webtoon have their options in advertisement. So at first the cheating, I think Lily was pretty smart with the creating the cheating scene first when Poppy walked into jewelry in the act with Mimi. And I was just like, oh, that got me. I want to know what's going on. So so yes, I was actually really into MPL because it's just like the community itself, but also it's just like an escape, because everybody's like into it, and now Lily got a lot of followers, and I'm just so excited. But I'm actually right now doing modeling right now.
Yeah, so, I saw. Hello, you look gorgeous. I mean, you look gorgeous.
Thank you.
All that makeup and stuff, but you look great.
Thank you. So yeah, that's pretty much about me so far.
Yeah, if there's a public like Instagram page or something where you model, share the link and I'll put it in the notes.
We should.
Yep. All right, so let's hop right into it because this whole day has been like podcast after podcast, and I have another one. It was supposed to be for 7, and I told them like 7:30. So yeah, so we have a timeline. All right, so Poppy is in that alleyway. Ben has just left to get his mom, basically.
Yeah.
And she's like, damn it, will he be okay? I should have gone with him. Be safe, kid. And then she thinks back to what she thought at the last episode. If calling the cops is the last resort, then I better orientate myself and think of a backup plan. So it's pretty smart. She's not going to just do nothing. So she takes out her phone, looks at Google Maps. She's like, well, the train station is too far. The bus service in this district has ended, but I'm not far from that place. So what's that place?
Yeah, so I'm like really curious about like the gap we're missing, the gap in the knowledge that we have that she's obtained since the season finale. So she knows more about like Aries Street or Tora's Nation, I think, than we know yet. That'll come up. So I was like, ooh, that place. So yeah, can't wait to find out.
I didn't think there was a gap. Like I thought it was like pretty soon after the party, and we don't know. And then somebody theorized maybe the thuglets, while they were talking to her at the party, maybe they were like, okay, this is a place where Tora hangs out. You can go there, if you need help. So
I don't know. I feel like there was a gap. I feel like Lily will reveal it eventually, but I feel like you don't know in traditional friendships, like you meet somebody, you're friends with them, but you don't get to know where their hangouts are until you've spent more time with them. But like the beginning of this episode, I was already like stunned at the way that Poppy is just handling this emergency. Like, I'm like, she is so quick thinking on her feet, and I still would have been back at the tables being like, what is happening? And like, and I'm like, what is your, now I'm like even more curious about her background. I know we all are, but I'm just like, who is your mother?
Right. I actually think to myself that Poppy is like quick-minded now, like that's a development, because I remember like flashback to the other episode that when she wanted to report Tora about taking a picture of her without her consent. And you know, she was actually stopped by a guy, but he's like, hey, he's pretty, you know, he's trying to cackle, not a technically cackle, but he was just trying to get her attention. And she didn't know what to do. She just stands there. But
Yeah,
now
I remember that.
Yeah,
but
the
now
police
she starts to realize,
right?
like,
Yeah.
but now she starts to think quicker. Like she's very assertive, and now she's just now I start to realize she's brave. She knows what she's doing, and now she just realized that, you know, she's quick minded. Because sometimes like we panic, you know, she don't know what to do, and then it kind of puts you in that anxiety. However, which the point is that she's quick minded. I feel like there's a development towards her, so that's what I'm seeing.
It's great. It's also, it's wonderful to know that like you can acquire skills that you didn't have previously, or courage, or whatever. Oh, Terry, you're on mute.
Sorry, I said my husband locked himself out, so I'm gonna go let him in. I'll be right back.
Sure. So
I do like that though. Like, I know, so with the webtoon you mentioned before, Sakura, so like True Beauty, I know has gotten a little bit of, people are not as excited with the character development.
Exactly.
And I think you saying that reminded me of that kind of situation that they're having over there. Not that True Beauty is a great webtoon. I'm not dogging them at all, but it really is nice to see like that. And I didn't even make that connection until you said that kind of character development for sure, because it's like it's like Poppy 2.0 has come out.
Right.
And like so excited to see what she will do.
I think every character has their insecurities. Like it's pretty much the main character. Like Chukyoung herself is pretty much like very insecure, and I know that I think they could both related to each other because they've been bullied in the past. They weren't really like confident about themselves and such. So Tori, you make that point.
So I don't know what I meant, but one thing I was thinking of, and I think we talked about this last episode, was, you know, episode 1, Poppy never would have stood up to these guys or been that quick on her feet. So it really shows how she's developed over, I don't know, do we know what the time span is from episode 1 to where we are now? Is it like a few months, or is it longer than that?
Honestly, like I think I used to have a better sense of the timeline. Now because of that break, I forgot. But
Yeah.
timeline.
It was like a couple weeks. So she had met Tora, and everything that happened was like there was like one day spanning like 10 episodes or something. And then I remember people talking about that in the Patreon and then the Facebook page, and like somebody posting an actual timeline. And I think it was around 14 to 16 days by the time we had gotten into the office scenes where Tora had come in with Quincy.
Right.
So this is really quick development for her. Then. Yeah.
So she thinks to herself, should I make my way there? I'm just going to get yelled at. I know it. And if I don't know anyone's going to be there for sure. And, you know, she's thinking, well, I have the taser with me at least, right? So that's something she started. Good thing I swapped it for a wet wipe. And then with the guy behind her, hey, cutie pie. She turns around. This dude with like a bottle and with a tropical shirt. He looks pretty cute, I have to say. Like sorry. He has red eyes somehow. Oh, I guess they're more like light brown. And like, are you alone?
They look very bloodshot for sure.
Yeah. And he's like, let's go have some fun, huh? Yeah, sure. And Poppy does the classic like girl defense. I'm not alone. I'm waiting for someone. He's just around the corner. And he's like, really? Yeah. Probably been used too many times. Like, well, I've got some time to burn. I'll wait here with you. How does that sound?
Yeah, I mean, the language he uses here is like classic abuser stuff.
Like, oh, how many times have this happened to you guys?
So many times.
So many times.
I just say no. nope. Everything that they say to like, because it's happened to me, I'm just like, nope. Nope. And I just keep saying that. And they're like, what is wrong with you? And I'm like, nope.
I just ignore them, but based on my concept, because I live in a city where there's full of cat colors and they would follow you and such. And I always have that type of problem. But what you have to do is just ignore them. But it's always best to bring a weapon, because to mention that Poppy did bring a taser, but she just didn't know when he's gonna do something, because you don't know what men's attention, not people's attention. So it's pretty scary in that situation. So we always had to think quicker and have a weapon just in case for self-defense.
Yeah.
And I actually have an old skeleton key that's like this long. I got on Etsy. It's heavy, but because I was reading like, don't carry your house keys like this, because then it can just push back into your hand, but carry a key like this.
Right.
So I have an old skeleton key because I work, I'm the evening librarian where I work. And when I leave, I used to work till 11 p.m. and I work till 8:30. And when I leave at night, it's dark. And it's a big place where I work. It's not like it's a big institution. So yeah, I have an old skeleton key, and I'm very good at selective deafness. Like, I didn't hear you, I don't see you. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to engage. But sometimes that doesn't work.
Yep.
Like
I am very fortunate in that mine's a little library and we have a security guard. If you sound like you're at a university or something, you don't have to confirm that, but that's what it sounds like.
Yeah. So we have like police and security guards, but they're not always around. You know what I mean? So
go to the blue light.
Right.
So I think it's interesting here that like we did talk about her character development, but she does still kind of pause. She's like,
right.
Yeah.
But it's like her mind's already getting to the point where you said before that she kind of froze in the police department, but now she's like, her brain is spinning and it's like, okay, what can I do? What can I do? What can I do? Whereas that didn't happen before. And I think that's really cool. So I thought it was funny. If you go back up, she's already like, I know I'm going to get yelled at. And I'm like, who is going to yell at you, first of all?
Right.
And what are they going to yell at you for? Like, how is this friendship developed? Because if it's Tora that's going to yell at you, is he going to yell at you for being in Aries Street? Is he going to yell at you for getting the thugs? I don't know. Like, I'm just kind of like, what is happening with that little comment?
See, I don't know if it's Tora that she's worried about. Like, what if it's Erdine? Like, what were you doing and why were you down there? You know what I mean? So
right.
Yeah, you're right.
The first thought was like, maybe Tora's gonna be mad she's down there, da da da. But then I was like, well, maybe it's like Jacob or Erdine or someone who's gonna be like, don't be stupid, why are you down there?
Right.
We know where she lands up, and that's with Tora. So I think that she was thinking about Tora, and probably because he told her not to go to Aries Street.
I'm not far from that place. I know I'm gonna get yelled at for going there.
But she did end up putting her step into Aries Street, which is towards Dark Place. Just she already put into that dark step already.
Anyway, this guy gets mad because he thinks he's entitled to her, and he's like, what? I can't even wait with you? And she's dumping. What's your problem, huh? So now it's like suddenly she's a problem. Ugh. And Poppy's like, her hands are trembling on her taser. And she's like, damn it, Pops, what are you doing? Dumping. Why are you frozen? Please use that taser. Or just do something, you coward. While she's looking at him. And now he goes, I'm a patient guy, but I'm really starting to lose my patience now. And it's going to be all your fault. I just want to smash his face.
Typical twatty male language. You're going to make me do this. Like, this is your fault. You made me do this to you. You know what I mean? So
I've actually never met anybody. Thankfully, I've never met anyone who spoke to me like this. I'm sure I know some abusive guys, but they weren't abusive to me. But
I think it's funny that we're like kind of going in with the gaslighting. We didn't even give her room to move. It's just like,
definitely a gaslighter, because he's trying to play the nice guy, but then later on it's like once he don't get what he wanted, he starts to like make her feel guilty and stuff. So I saw like Poppy's face, like she looked really pissed, like from the police before the police station. She was just like, she didn't know what to do. She just put her heads down. But now she just looked at him, make eye contact, and just like give him a glare, like, So that's a difference between her way she was before.
It is chef's character growth.
Yeah, I mean, make yourself a challenge. You know, don't make yourself like an easy victim. That's what she's doing. She's like, you know, even though she's scared inside and she's trembling and it's like she's facing him instead of just like cowering with her back to him. So yeah, I mean, this is all like, I'm not gonna be easy for you to, I will fight you. You know, that's kind of the vibe. Exactly. Like bang. Yeah, so I'm proud of her for getting to this point relatively quickly. Go, Poppy.
Right.
Now he does it's a lot of these people have this like inferiority complex. He's like, I'm not good enough for you. Why you gotta be such a snob? Well, everyone's assuming like Ben and now him, they're assuming that Poppy is like eyeglass and that she's snobbing. And then he
radiates, you know, obviously she radiates some sort of like that she's very classy and proper and you know, that's like her aura or something. Like I don't know. My brain's not you know, kind of like the sense I'm getting.
And then you go straight into like the masculine, let me show you how good I am in bed, because he's like, give me a chance, I can show you how good I am.
Ew.
I mean, if you gotta talk about it and say that, you're not any good.
Right.
You're just not. Sorry. You're like a typical snob I don't want to deal with. Goodbye.
I have a story to tell you guys, but I will say that later.
I think it's interesting how like we're already reading, there's already this, I guess, dynamic happening before we're even getting to conclude the chase that is happening here.
Yeah.
He's already reading her and he's not even a part of this group that's following her. He's reading her like body language, he's reading her style of clothing. I think that's where the inferiority complex comes in. Poppy is always on her P's and Q's, even when she's like wearing the shirt that says, why can't somebody else just do it? She had it matching those little kitty flats. Yeah. Like Poppy knows how to dress herself and dress herself well for the occasion. And I think like that's part of it is like there's this street thing of I'm literally scanning you for every, like I feel like he's scanning her for threats almost, even though he's trying to threaten her. It's like, what are you going to do back to me? And I don't know, you know, if a guy walks up to a woman in a shirt and a dress or a skirt like that, he of course, the closer to Aries Street you're going to get, I feel like the more you're going to have comments about your clothing because it sticks out among people in this area.
Yeah. And I think this is Lily also showing us that this is just not a great part of town to be in. Like every time she turns around, right, there's another threat coming at her. But it's just like proving the point that obviously Tora and maybe his thuglets have made that like Aries Street, and then her landlady in the very beginning, like, oh, you know, in Aries Street it's really safe. Don't go to Aries Street. So I think that's just also another way Lily's demonstrating like this is a really dangerous part of town, especially as for a female to be in it alone or even with a young, you know, 15-ish year old boy. But and then as we see, like even when she's standing next to Tora, it's still dangerous. You know what I mean? So it's like, good Lord, this is a really fun part of town.
Yeah, and the danger all around is coming now. She's like, if you walk out onto the streets, they're gonna find you. And she does. She backs out, and then because what happens now is they find her and they're like, over here was how my weekend started with a few simple job interviews, and she's running down the street. They're saying get her and pursuing her, and ended in a desperate escape that led me straight into the most dangerous part of the city, Aries Street. And she's running and she's like, now it's already really dark. She's like, I think this is the place they told me about. She sees the game hall. She's running and he's over there. Fortuitously, he's right outside. But this is really okay. It's not fair to drag him into business he's not involved in. So even as she's like being pursued by these like bloody murderers, basically, okay, I don't know if I'm slightly exaggerating, but she's still thinking about Tora and concerned for his emotions.
I could be reading into this because I like to read into things, obviously. But like, can we talk about how she spots him immediately? And yet he's lurking around Aries Street all the time with like a hoodie drawn and like trying to be like, so like, and he's just stepping out for a smoke. He's probably not trying to hide himself like all real hard, but like the fact that she's like, oh, he's right there. As soon as she gets to where she knows that that pool spot is. I just thought it was funny that She's like, oh, there he is. And I'm like, how many people looking for Tora would actually find him that quickly? Like, how
Well, you know,
Right.
he's got his radar on and it just pinged, right? Even though he's wearing like dark clothing, and he's got his dark hair. Yeah, she just probably like extra sensory, like bing, there he is.
Or like, I think it was Christina Agan. She was like talking about how Poppy just wants another hoodie. She's like, you must have smelled the hoodie.
Yeah,
Sniffing
this
it
is
out
a
loud.
really cool one too with the red design. Yeah.
Oh, it was funny.
And he's clicking, he's lighting his cigarette, and she's like, damn it, no time to think, I'll just, and that's when we get to the scene we already discussed. She says, hey, and then she thinks to herself, this part is new. Oh no, not that sweet, sweet, unguarded face. Oh.
I love that all she says is, hey, and that could be anybody, but he knew it was her. Like, boom. And he's just like, what the?
Right, and it's like, not that sweet unguarded face, but the first thing out of his mouth is like, what the fuck? And he's like,
Yeah,
it's great.
I love how she thinks of him. You know, everyone else thinks of Tora. This is the classic thing. This is the whole theme of the story. Everyone else thinks of Tora as this thug, as this monster, and she sees him as a sweet, sweet, unguarded face. Oh, love it.
Like, she sees the interior. Everyone else sees the exterior. Like, they see the shell that's hardened, you know, over the years that he's had to live the life he's lived. But she knows what's underneath it. Like, he's that squishy, squishy, sweet, unguarded center. Like,
I mean, we all know like what Teri's saying. I mean, like he has a hard shell. I mean, he's intimidating. He has this intimidating look. But however, he's just a sweetheart. Like, he has a soft heart.
Well, I think it goes back to like seeing what we talked about earlier about like scanning the bodies and scanning the outer appearance.
Right.
He works so hard for that outer appearance, right? He has to.
That's true.
And so for somebody to immediately cut through that, which is not normal, the Aries Street, you're going to look at their outside to gauge how they can hurt you and how you can hurt them. And so for somebody to like cut through him that quickly and just be like, well, you're hurting. And he's like, what? I think that's so.
His exterior's kept him alive, right? Like, that's how he survived, flat out, from being, you know, 5 years old, 4 years old to, you know, what, how old is he? 25? 26?
He's 26, yeah.
So this is how he's managed to get through, navigate this world and come and survive so far. But yeah, and she's just like X-ray right through it, knows exactly, like she sees his eyes and she just knows what's inside. Where most people see those eyes and they're like, it's a tiger, he's going to eat me. He's got those golden tiger eyes, right? So
Right.
Or if it's another woman, like the girls at the train station, they're like, I want to eat him. And it's nothing else, it's just surface level
yeah, they're
stuff.
just like, ooh, hot, dangerous man. You know what I mean? And that's what most people see, hot, dangerous man. Because everyone, male or female, is like, beautiful.
So she thinks to herself, I think shoot. And then she yells, run, and that panel that we had before. And she just thinks, I'll grab the mofo and run.
That cracked me up, by the way. I'm like, you think you're gonna be able to move him? But just like, I'll just grab him, we'll just run. And it's like, this isn't Star Wars. You're not running around on the Death Star. He's not Han Solo. He's gonna hold his ground.
Yeah,
Well,
I mean,
It made me laugh.
This convinced me that like there's definitely been some time, because she says they're friends, but like, you know, when you hang out with people, you start picking up their speech patterns. Like that takes a little bit of time, and I've never heard her say mofo in like the entire time we've been reading this. Like, oh, grab the mofo. Like, I feel like Poppy's usually a little bit more like, I don't know, not eloquent, but like just she's just a little more tame with her speech. It's just
like, sugar snaps, I gotta run.
Right.
Yeah.
I think Tora, it gives her that influence that, you know, Tora likes to cuss a lot. And it's like, I don't know, she kind of inherit that actually.
Sure.
So I feel like
both talks like a sailor, and I've like picked it up over the years. So I also now talk like a sailor. It's just it happens. It's like you're with someone a lot, you pick up mannerisms and, you know,
Oh
even
yeah.
their lexicon, like what words they're using and stuff.
I was
Yep.
thinking
Most
back
of those
about
things.
the comments that I think Patty was talking about the smoke in the restaurant when Tora is like putting his cigarette to, it's Claude. Claude's
It's
eye.
Claude Lang. Yeah.
I
Oh,
thought it
that's
was
cool.
interesting how
Yeah.
much time was spent on like describing that and how much Patty took like away from the smoke and stuff. But it's here she's running into it.
Mhm.
Like this is
Yeah.
now where I want to be. Like I'm going to it. And I thought that was interesting. And this is such a good panel, you guys.
Well,
The
like,
artwork has gotten so
it's like
good.
a fog, right? It's this particular-
Oh, it's so cool.
Oh right.
Oh no, it's gorgeous. This is his force field, the smoke. It's like it's fog. He envelops himself in this. And it's like the creature that comes out of the fog.
Right.
And like everybody's frozen. So I'm like, am I frozen or is everybody else frozen?
We're here. Yeah, because Teri says we're frozen. I was like, wait.
Yeah, everyone else is frozen. For me.
Let me. Okay, so she continues, and the rest, as they say, is history. And she asks, we get to the scene, and she says, how many people are there behind me? And she's in huffing and puffing, and Tora looks, and he's like, what the hell is going on here? And
Y'all, this
now,
scene made me want to cry. I
Yeah.
wanted to cry. Look, like his eyes. It's like, this is exactly what I didn't want to happen. And he's like disappointed. Like he's not even shocked, but it's just like, it's kind of, it reminds me of the time when he ran out of the restaurant after Poppy told him not to pick up the phone when Lane called. And it's just like that dejection of just like, this is exactly what I thought was going to happen. Now it's happening. And I'm mad at myself for getting my hopes up that it wouldn't. You know, like I read a lot into that one little panel because it made me want to cry so bad because he's just like, what the hell is happening here? And she's just running to him with a bunch of people behind her. Like that's his worst nightmare, I feel like.
Yeah, I mean, and you know, there's like, even though he looks very stoic, his mind's going a million miles an hour. So yeah. But yeah, it just is the quality of the artwork too, that you can read that just in his eye. And you don't even see him like full face. It's his profile and you see one eye. But yeah, it's
not
definitely
even looking at her. He's looking ahead. He's just like ready
Yeah.
for it. But still, it's
With that angle, I swear to God, like with that angle, when he does that eye, that's when you know something tells you it's not good. Because flashback to when at the party, I was at the club, and you know when Poppy rejected him about being committed whatsoever, and he was just like giving that look that he wasn't happy, and that really tells that that's not a good feeling, that he was really upset.
Yeah, and it's the same colors from the restaurant when he's doing that thing to Claude. Like it's the same tone.
Sure. Same shirt, no?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like sepia, gray.
Pretty sensitive.
Like, yeah, it just made me, I literally stopped. Like, as we talked about our reading style and how we zip through stuff, like I stopped on this one the first time around. I was like, that's such a gut punch.
Now we fade into a different part of our street, and we actually, now it becomes like blue. It's kind of like party scene, blue and reds, and we have phone ringing, and it's Candy, and she picks up, and he's like, hello, I need your help. Are you at work now? It's Ben. Yeah, but why? What's the matter? Why are you so breathless? Were you running from the cops again? That's a typical mom thing, or at least he's like, no time to explain. I'm in front of the office building. Come meet me downstairs. She's like, what? Are you in some kind of trouble again? I swear to God. And I think Ben hangs up the phone. I'm not sure which one. And those guys are pursuing him. They're looking for him nearby. And Ben's like, oh shit. And here, there's, we see like these buildings and these people look like they're going clubbing or partying. And now we get introduced to, first we see this stunning silk robe and these gorgeous legs and like heels just coming down the steps. I mean, it's just gorgeous. And then we have a side view, beautiful lady, very busty, long pink hair. We have Ben running to her. And Ben's like, I'm over here. And he trips.
He trips. He trips.
Yeah, we have this like gorgeous, amazing lady, and Ben's like flat on his face.
She told him, get up, get up, get up.
Yeah, the first thing I thought when I just saw the silk robe, I was like, oh, here comes the Dark Queen. You know what I mean? The Dark Queen of Aries Street. But she's a good queen. She's not a bad queen. It's just she's a dark queen because where she lives or where she works and has to deal with her world is darkness. But it's not cold darkness. It's like violets and pinks and, you know, those kind of romantic colors. So it's like she lives in a dark world. But and then we have these like the laser lights kind of intersecting her and Ben, like these connecting lines. But yeah, I mean, falling flat on his face in front of his mother is just so symbolic.
Gorgeous.
Benjamin.
Well, at first I thought when he said I'm in front of your office building, I thought he was still trying to be like, my mom doesn't really work in a strip club. Like I thought he was saying that, but then as we get further in, we realize, sorry, my dog is trying to get into my room. We realized that like she has a lot more capital, and I thought she was just like somebody on the lower ranks, but office building meant office building in that panel, and I didn't realize that till I thought it was funny. It was basically like a little child running to, and he's like, "Mommy, save me!" Like even in Aries Street, you can't even just come on, Ben, get it together. He's like, yeah, back to his mom, but he is only like a kid, so it makes sense,
right? And then the fact
that if she's some sort of like boss or manager or something, you know what I mean? Obviously she has some sort of clout, as we see when all the guys join her, like her bodyguards basically. So yeah, I mean the situation was which they kind of do a flashback on. It's like, what's changed? Like what's happened? I don't know, but yeah, she's such a queen. I love her. I think she's awesome.
Yeah. So we see her now while the guys are running to her. She's, you know, we still see her back only. She said, tell me honestly now, whatever Benjamin, and she thinks whatever Benjamin's gotten himself into this time, I seriously hope it has something to do with that man. And we'll flash back to that in a second. She asked him, did you take something that doesn't belong to you? And he's like, oh, my nose. And now we see her. And somebody said she got a glow up, and like, yeah, she looks fantastic. She looks beautiful. Yeah, and she's standing there with like toys.
Yeah, so oh yeah, I mean she's a freaking goddess, let's be real here. Like she's stunning.
It's so different from what you see in the flashback, right? She's like got the power. That's like one of those power stances they tell you to stand in before you go into a job interview. So you'll feel better or like feel more powerful. Like she's in her domain and she's very confident and very at ease, and like to see her son running after her, tripping over his feet, crawling to her at her feet, like still doesn't faze her. And she's like, God, I hope you didn't get, like, she's so confident right now. And it's like,
and I love that there's like these beautiful flowers, like basically in her midsection, you know what I mean? Like this feminine power of like this floral garden with the darkness, you know what I mean? So it's like all this feminine power happening right here, right now. Which if we compare to like what's going on for Poppy at the moment, with the guy in the alley, and then, you know, like all the jerks chasing her, and then here we have Candy, you know, so it's like, it's a contrast. Like Poppy's always very light and sunshine and, you know, and then here's the flip of that. Here's Candy, who lives in the darkness, but she's also got this kind of feminine allure and power too to her. So she's got the roses too.
The flower metaphor even further. She's wearing the rose, which is beautiful, but has thorns. I don't know what the other flower is though. It's like
I don't know if it's like some sort of like, almost looks like grape hyacinth or something like that, but yeah, or lilac, something, but yeah, just so good. I'm glad we're slowly getting to know more about Candy.
Yeah, agree. It's nice to rethink somebody that, you know, we wrote off before. So she thinks back to, I seriously hope it has nothing to do with that man. So who's that man? She goes back to the time when they were trying to sell the pin, and we hear the pawn shop keeper or the gem trade guy saying, "You trying to pull a fast one on me? These are just low grade synthetics, kid." And then Benjamin's like, "Low grade synthetics, you can't see it because there's some kind of coating on top. I swear, I took a gemology class in school and we learned how to ID this shit. Plus, we need the money urgently, so can't you just?" Candy behind there is like, she's got her face beat up. She doesn't seem to have much makeup on. She's like crying. And he's like, "So you're an expert in diamonds now after taking a course in school?" "No, sir." He's like, "Good. Now let me tell you." And he holds up the brooch, the pin. "I'm not going to waste my time polishing this thing only to find out you were wrong about it. Especially not with the money you're asking for."
One thing I noticed about this pawn shop, it's empty. There's nothing there. Like the shelves are empty. It's completely empty. You know what I mean? So I don't trust what this guy is saying here, that it's just synthetic. I think he's just trying to get him out of there, because I'm thinking, is this some sort of front? I don't know if this is like a legit place, because when it goes and you look behind him, there's nothing there. There's like bare shelves and stuff.
Yeah,
So,
I didn't think it was a store. I thought they kind of like met outside in some public place because it's like a brick wall. But I
They
don't
were
know.
in
But
a
yeah,
parking garage, or what looked like it, but I guess this is what we thought was the parking garage. Never mind.
yeah. I'm wondering, maybe, like you said, and I think there may be something to what you're saying, Terry. Like, my thought is maybe it actually is valuable, and he recognizes it as some kind of symbol. He doesn't want to tell him, and he wants to like, "Oh, I don't want to deal with this because this is dangerous."
Yeah.
Like,
well,
plan
get out.
It seems
like we know she got it from her dad, and we always thought that the clan relation maybe was her mom, or like maybe Papa's dad was involved with the clan, and maybe this is the clan symbol, and he's like, "I'm not dealing with this." Who knows?
it seems like he doesn't want to get involved. He doesn't, like what you guys said, like he's trying to avoid it, because at the same time there's like some sort of fear in him. But
Yeah.
at the same, because I'm seeing some fear, like he may recognize it, but he just doesn't like he just like saying like, hey, like he just denies it and has another excuse to say it. Like at first I thought he was at the pawn shop, but it's just some like some rubbish like area where he's in. It doesn't seem like a pawn shop though, don't you think?
Yeah, I don't know what it
really
is. Right.
sketchy warehouse.
And he's definitely, and he's definitely just trying to get them out of there as fast as he can. Just go.
Right.
Here, just take them. And then you see him kind of look, like his eyes go back because he hears noise behind him. So he's like, just get out.
And so he's like, "Especially not with the amount of money you're asking for. Other shots might be desperate enough, but not us." And then he says, "And ma'am, your acting skills aren't too bad, but you'll have to try harder than that." And Candy's like, "Oh," she gets all offended. So it's kind of a relief, because last time we saw this flashback, we were like, "Oh no, what happened to Candy?" So it's kind of a relief to know that like nothing really happened to her and she's just pretending. So that's nice. well,
I don't know if she is pretending or if he's just assuming that. Because to me, I always thought that, they're in a really desperate spot right now.
Right.
And I think he's just like, yeah, okay, whatever, lady. I think it's all part of the get the hell out of here. I don't want to deal with you right now.
Interesting. Okay. Fine. Yeah, I guess I could see it going either way, because we hear a bit more about what happened to Candy afterwards. So yeah, guess it could be.
I'm in the camp that she's playing along. I'm in that camp. I don't know. I don't think the way I don't know. I just thought she was playing along for the first impression that I got.
So here's the bad thing. It's like, now beat it, the both of you. And before we all get in trouble with my boss, which is, he says quietly, I think the corrugated lines or whatever they're called means like whispering. And we see someone in back. Who is it? None other than Scharch or Shark or whatever. And
have we decided how we pronounce this guy's name? Do we just call him Shark because he is one?
Lily made a post, I think, somewhere saying that it's pronounced shark, like Rorschach. She used Rorschach as the similarity of like how it looks like shush, but it's like a hard K.
listen, I mean, he does have the shark attributes. Yeah, and I don't know. I know, like, you know, we're not supposed to like the bad guys, but he looks very attractive here, in my opinion.
Oh, he's hot. But he's psycho.
Very curious. Like,
And
he was supposed to be on a trip when he got Mr. Lamb.
yeah,
Now he's like in this back room of this weird
like,
pawn shop thing. I'm like, what is he? But also, I'm kind of like, I don't want to know. Somehow, I
We're
feel
gonna
like I'm
find
gonna
out.
get in trouble if I know.
the way Lily draws Candy here when she's like, "Let's go, Betty boy," like the terror on her face is so well done. Like that expression, that frozen blank, like, oh my god. It's just, it's so well done. Like you just get, and Ben looks completely clueless. He's like, I just want the money, and you know, and she's just like, we need to go. It's so, I just, when I saw that, I paused, just the way she drew her expression there, after her hand was shaking on his shoulder.
That
So
made me
good.
wonder if he had like done something to the women before. Like,
I like-
honestly, that made me wonder, like, because the next panel she starts talking about
Mhm.
seeing him in the club, and I don't know, the way that, what is his name? Is it, oh, they make, is it
Scharch?
the financial guy?
Well, yeah, what's his name? I can't
it-
remember either.
It's either
Oh, fine.
Xing or Ling Ma.
It's Xing Ma. Okay, you guys have clearly never read Peg's fan fiction because
I'm
if you
so
did, you
sorry.
would not forget it.
Sorry.
Peg has written-
Sorry.
Peg has written a very,
Sorry.
very extensive library of very erotic fics with Xing and Erdine. So yes, it's
So,
Xing Ma.
Oh, Shinma.
So Xing Ma was saying to Claude that Shark finds the experience of like cutting human flesh pleasurable or something weird. And
Yeah.
that stuck in my head. And then when that look of terror on her face, I was like, she's run across him before, and it obviously was enough.
It makes me wonder if he's some sort of, like, he has a reputation among like the women of Aries Street about like maybe girls disappearing, and he's that we're last seen with him or something. Like she knows he's terrifying, and she knows he's psycho, and she knows she does not want to be on his radar in any stretch at all. So there's definitely, we're going to find out more about him. He's another one of the characters that kind of pinged in and then left, and you just know we're getting more with him. And I'm like terrified he's going to focus those blue eyes on Poppy eventually. So something's being set up here.
And the fact that, like, what you're saying about Candy and Shingma, that Candy seems more observant, because as you see, like, on the curtains behind that, she's about to change to do her show. And I'm seeing that what you guys said, like, yeah, she probably did get involved with the Bachman members, like Shingma, I don't know how to say his name, yeah, the financial assistant. He was I feel like they have done a lot of things that Candy saw, and I feel like she's kind of, you know, she's just kind of like she's scared because maybe Benjamin could get involved. Well, actually, I think he did, unfortunately, because he got beat up and such. So pretty much, Candy seems more like observant with the Bachmans members and the organization. Even though she worked there, I think she's seen a lot.
And she's smart, right? So
Right.
she's observant and she's smart, and I don't think she's seduced like some of the other girls by the power and stuff. Like she'll act, you know, and put on the act, but I don't think she's stupid by any stretch of the imagination. And she's just trying, again, she's another survivor, just trying to make her way and protect her kid, you know, and doing the best she can with what's been handed to her.
I mean, she
So-
needs money.
Yeah. So again, smart. I don't want to be on his radar. I don't want him to notice me. I just, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And she mentions one of the Wall-Even guys with that dumbass Claude. So she doesn't think very highly of Claude. She remembers, you know, the flashback of her back then. There was his like creepy smile. And back then she said to herself, somebody said, hurry up, Candy, your turn for hair and makeup. And she thought back then even, ugh, what a psycho. I need to pass Sasha and the girls some cleansing salts tomorrow. Good thing I'm not on his radar. So she's kind of like Erdine also with the cleansing salts and whatever. But so yeah. So and then she like, with my dumb luck, this fucker's probably gay too. Tora, baby, stop.
Unrequited crush on Tora.
She does love, she likes Tora. We all know that.
Right, exactly. Who doesn't? And she, you know, thinks to herself, if I knew that man was in charge of the pawn shop, I'd never have agreed to Ben's bright idea. Thank God he was distracted back there. And now we're back to the present, but we're back. Sorry, I don't want to say anything else about this.
I was just gonna say, when she's like that man, obviously she's heard some really horrifying things about him, and she just wants to avoid him at all costs. And like, oh God, Christ, he owns the pawn shop. I need to get out of here. Yeah.
Well, and the cleansing salt thing, I'm like, does she think that I guess it's Scharch. I keep forgetting. I mix them up so badly. But does she think he's like dirty? She's like, ew, they need some cleansing salt.
No, it's like an energy thing, like bad energy.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, it's
energy, you know.
Like where you put salt around a room as like protection. You know what I mean? So it's like from like bad juju, bad spirits. Yeah. Like he's got some dirty, evil energy around him. And she just, yeah.
So now we're back to Tora and Poppy, and I think Poppy's saying, what happened? And then these are her thoughts. The sun was already setting when I got to the game center. We see the game hall. I was still shaking from fear and adrenaline, and my lungs and legs were in excruciating pain after all that nonstop running. And then she says to Tora, well, it's a long story. I'll explain later, but we need to go now, please. And then she thinks, and I didn't want to think of what would have happened if he hadn't been there. Now Tora grabs a hold of her hand, and she thinks, but as his hand slid down from my wrist to take hold of mine, and my fingers closed instinctively around his, and we see the panel, the closed fingers, I finally felt some of the tension leaving my body. And she's badumping, because there's always time for a badump of romance in midst of all the badumps of fear, but just marginally. And again, we have that expression from Tora that you analyze so nicely, Tori. And now it's completely setting, and the sun, it's very dark. And now, as Poppy says, by then the last rays of the sun had disappeared beneath the horizon. And we see again the game hall, it's quiet, and Tora's face again looking a little more of a blush. I don't know if you noticed that.
No, this is like the straight transformation into the tiger. Like this is like Tora going into kill mode. And I was like, oh, like I was scared I was like, Poppy, get out of the way, he's gonna kill him. Because his eyes, man, it's all in the eyes.
Damn, those eyes are pretty intense. It tells a lot about people. Because sometimes when people, like psychologically, they saying that with body language is like when people smile, you can never tell that they're happy or sad, but you can tell by their eyes.
Yeah.
Well, and this is the same eyes that he had in the conference room when he was beating up on Quincy's publisher. The same dead eyes of like, Tora's not here right now. Leave a message after the beat because he's dissociated so hard. Like,
yes.
Like, that's what just happened. And she's standing right next to it. And I was just like, oh no. And like, I could literally hear like some kind of transition soundtrack music going on in my head as this happened. I was like, because his eyes are so crazy looking. And I was like, no.
Yeah, it's the red lights now. Everything is changing. And I mean, and Poppy's going to describe this for us. We see a lot of exclamation points, which presumably means like the noise and the fighting and just in the general vicinity. And we hear aha and ah-ha-ha, and she's badumping. I think this time at a fair. And that's where steps in front of her. There's like a ya in the background. There's a lot of noise. He steps in front of her quite decisively. And now she describes artistry. She says, this was artistry in its full chaotic glory. Ha-has, clang, clang, exclamation points. He's standing there with his arms crossed, you know, defending her in front of her, his brows furrowed. And she says, it was as if someone had come in with a torch and set the world on fire. People yelling, music pounding, fights breaking out. laser beam sweeping across the sky, turning everything a deep, angry red. And she's again, and now we see her perspective, I mean, not perspective, her face, and she looks quite nervous, like the entire place had come alive with a dark and heavy energy. And there's, laughter and more noise. I couldn't see it, but I could feel it. Fear, despair, and pain, which is, it's also like a little bit, you see the sympathetic side of Poppy, where she could be saying like, evil and terror, but she's sympathizing with the people who are on Aris Street and the underlying emotions that cause them to act out that way.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, one of the notes I made was like the psychosphere of Aries Street, like the color and the noise and the fear, despair, and pain, and the color red and all of that. But then like the fear, despair, and pain is also Tora, like and she flashes back to like how she sensed that around him. So it's like you're picking up Aries Street, but I think she's also picking up Tora on some level, like the psychosphere of the whole thing, and how it's like a smog that's like infected him too. If that makes any sense.
It reminded me of when she talks about, like, it shows the panel of him turning his back to her at the train station. And it reminded me of when she said the air got really cold when this person was next to me. And I was like, ooh, like, that's not even in my brain. The fear, despair, and anger, or fear, despair, and pain was like, that was one thing, but I really connected it when I saw that next panel and I thought about that, because I was like, it's a cold kind of, like, it's a cold, dark energy. It's not even like an energy you can really play with. It's
exactly
beyond your kind of, it's beyond Poppy saving it, obviously, but maybe not so much Tora. Like, we all want Poppy to save Tora, but it's not really her job to save him. It's kind of his own. So that just triggered that line of thought in my head, I guess, of that, because of that panel.
Yeah, I mean, that's been his entire life up until he met her. And like you said, he's got to pull himself out of it. And they'll talk about that, like finding the light and going towards light and making sure you have light in your life, because up until that day, he didn't. There wasn't any. It was just pure black darkness for him. So.
And I was gonna add on to the settings, so that as Aries Street got darker, I feel like, the fact that it kind of symbolized that red, and because there's a lot of like color scheme going on there. So I'm seeing red and black. So I'm seeing that red is like a very intense color. It actually means like there's going to be some anger, something like it could be a good and a bad meaning. But when it comes to Aries, I'm feeling a lot of anger, because Aries, let's get back to Greek mythology, is all about war, all about, fights and something intense, And when it comes to dark, when, we all know that dark is actually meaning that she stepped into the dark world.
Yeah, I mean, red has a lot of meanings. It's, it's like they're saying, the fear and the anger. But it's also love and lust and desire. It's also the color of the flower. You know what I mean? So there's like two sides of the coin. But like you were saying, that it's red and black. So here's where the black comes in. That just pulls it into that, like, the darker meanings of it, instead of like maybe some of the other meanings of it.
Yeah, like what you said, Tori, she says explicitly it was the same kind of energy I felt around him when we first met. And we have that panel. But that was before I'd spent a little more time with him and gotten to know him better. And we see that first look, it's even that first look she gave at him, to him, was a look of intrigue and curiosity. It wasn't necessarily a look of judgment. So right off the bat, she was open to him. And she said, when we were just two strangers in a countryside town whose paths would never have crossed, if not for a bizarre twist of fate. And we see him on the phone, going into the train. That was before. And then we have a bunch of panels. We have a panel of her on his back at the party where they were like so cute together. We became friends. Okay, Poppy.
There's applause there. We became friends. And I love how when she's on his back, she has his coat over her and he's holding her dress down. It's just so cute the way he's carrying her. His best instincts. but yeah, that we became ... friends. They're not just friends. But yeah. And then the next panel is she's just all in a rosy glow. You know what I mean? It's just like she looks so adorable here.
Right.
And then the next one's Tora, who has a different aura in this panel than she has in the one right above him. So
if that word even exists in his world at all. So it's like she knows that his world is so unfriendly and so man eat man, dog eat dog, where she doesn't even know that they have friends.
Yeah.
And he says, with that look, he's like, we're not going anywhere, sweetheart. And he's just framed against the whole chaos of Aries Street. We have the noise in the background, we have signs and lights, and his look. And it's funny because in a way, like there's a lot of like femininity about him in this particular scene, I think, at least because his eyelashes are just gorgeous. But then the rest of him is like
and I love the red dragon on his chest too. So yeah, he's a dragon right now. And it's funny that she's like, if that word friends, exists in his world, she's met Quincy and she's met you. You know what I mean? Has she met you? Maybe, but
she met him briefly at the
party.
The security dude, what are you doing here? And I work with these guys.
Yeah. So the fact that she's still like, does that even exist? This is what makes me so curious. Is like, what are we gonna find out has happened before? In that gap.
I think there are a lot of theories, and a lot of readers I've seen have a lot of like opinions on why Poppy always wants to just be friends. And I think it's a double thing of like, she can't see them being a thing because of his world, but also I think it's her way of protecting herself from getting hurt. Like, oh, we're just friends, we're not anything. Because if I admit to myself that this is happening, and then something bad happens, then I have to like psychologically go through that. But if I just deny it, we're just friends.
We're just friends. Yeah. It's all good.
Yeah.
Nothing on here.
Right.
So I think it's her way of kind of building up a little screen for her own psychological well-being a little bit. There's a lot to take in with Tora, and I think if she just says that they're friends for right now, that's what she can handle, even though we all know that they know that it ain't just friends.
Yeah,
and my friends like that. I don't know about y'all.
No, and gawk at my friends like they're like big hunks of meat. But she hasn't had a lot of recovery time after walking in on jewelry either. Her ex, so it's like all this is happening super fast, and it's intense, and we're just friends. I can't even deal with this right now. We're friends.
Yeah, and she did say at her birthday party that she wanted some time to
like
find the pieces of herself again.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes life happens when you're not expecting it, and it's just away we go.
That's a good point.
I think it's kind of like she needed to meet Tora right at that time, because if she wasn't in a time where her life was in such upheaval, I don't think she would have had the bandwidth to tolerate it, because she's so distracted by everything happening in her life. The fact that she met Tora when she did, she's like, here's another thing, whatever, okay, blah. But like if she had just been in a stable job, in a stable situation, she just would have been like, staying away. I don't know who that person is. Like she would have very much have been just, nope, right off the bat. So I think it was very much of a everything falling into place at the right time. All the dots are connected.
It's like she has a wall up, and there's like a hole in that wall and those defenses. Without all the distractions and the stress and the, moving to a city and money worries and all that. And so that little crack in the wall is where he just kind of went right through.
Right.
Okay, so what are your final thoughts on this episode? Any thoughts? I should think of a better word.
When all the red laser lights came on, I'm like, oh, look, it's The Weeknd's Blinding Lights. That was like my first thought, that like music video for some reason, because I think the song is really apt with these guys, with Tora. But no, I like where this is going. Obviously, it's about to get really good, but I'm digging it.
I have so many thoughts. I don't even know where to begin. I'm so
Yeah.
excited that it's back, and that I really appreciate the character development, the time that it takes to really flesh these people out and create a whole world around them, and like to make it so realistic that I'm wondering what's going to happen, and then like the next Fast Pass episodes and whatnot. Like this is like a series. I look at these people and I feel like they're real, even though they're not. Like they feel 3D, even though they're 2D. And I'm like so concerned for their well-being and and it's just so impressive, the storyline, and just the level of investment that everybody, Lily and all of her assistants, take the time to create. It's just breathtaking. And I know what happens in the next episode, so I can't say like I'm excited, but like the level of control that's exhibited in this episode alone by Tora, and the level of emergency planning that Poppy has is so fascinating to watch. And Benjamin and Candy, and that whole revelation of Candy being way higher up in her organization than I thought. It's just the layers keep getting peeled back, and I'm happy to be here to watch it happen.
Yeah, like I'm really nervous about Scharch. Like, I'm like, oh God, it's back. You know what I mean? I'm like, here it is. And I think I was calling him the lizard man, the guy that's chasing them. I think he's like nothing compared to Scharch. And that kind of makes me very, very nervous. That Poppy's going to get in his sight somehow. I think it's going to be a massive conflict, and maybe a catalyst. You know what I mean? So,
yes, that would be a good setup for high drama. Awesome.
My thoughts about this episode so far, I'm just like seeing that a lot of things is starting to connect the dots according from the beginning. But but I feel like Lily's trying to like take her time to connect the dots, because I feel like little by little time goes by. For next Friday coming up, I feel like it's going to really connect the dots, and it seems to make sense. But however, I'm thinking to myself that this is pretty much more like, to me, I'm just like, I'm so excited to have that like Midnight Poppyland to come back. It was pretty exciting, especially everyone was in there at work or whatever they're doing. They're just like screaming, because I think we all are screaming.
I'm in like the best time zone for this. It's after work. It's right before bed. I'm just like,
yeah, because she did it earlier, like around 8 something if you're in the East Standard Time, early. Because I was like, oh my God, like we got a notification, and I'm just like, I was
expecting like 9 o'clock. That's usually what it drops for East Coast, and I was like, oh, 9 o'clock. But yeah, I mean, I've been working from home for 15 months now. Wow. So it's like, it's something that I can focus on again to help me get through like just the stress of all of this is great. You know what I mean? It's yay.
Well, guys, thank you so much for coming on this episode. It was wonderful as always, and I'm super excited to keep reading together with you guys.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Thanks so much. I'll see you.
Bye.
Bye.